Hey y'all, my name is Sharon Armstrong. I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator since 1997. I absolutely love teaching people how to use Stampin' Up! Products. I do a lot of online classes, and the video that you're getting ready to watch is my tips and tricks video for my Petal Palette class that I had in February. If you missed that class, stay tuned till the end and I will tell you how to get the instructions. Hey stamping friends, this is the Petal Palette class, and I just loved the Petal Passion Designer Series papers. I just love that stark black and white. The stamp set is actually one of the best as far as it has images and sentiments. What a great bang for your buck, you know, because you have so many sentiments that you can use with all of these different images. And bonus comes with, you can get it as a bundle and use the framelets that if you buy it all at once, you get 10% off. So I loved the bundle. I always like to do it that way because I like to save money. If you are in my online class, you received the link to download the PDF instructions. If you did not take my class in November, you can visit my blog and I will tell you more at the end how to get the tutorial. So let's get started. So first we have our base, and then we have our Designer Series paper. And if you'll notice, the Designer Series paper is too big the way I have cut it. So it's going to overlap. So we're actually going to use a little bit of snail. I'm going to change my card up a little bit. I'm going to flip it around just to show you the difference. This Petal Passion DSP is just so pretty. Now you don't want to stick it down yet to the cardstock because we're going to wrap some ribbon around it. So let me move this around. There we go, that's centered. And now I'm going to take this piece, and what I'm trying to do is give about 1/4 of an inch around, and then we'll just rub that. So now we're going to pick up our DSP, and I have my ribbon. This is this beautiful shimmer black ribbon that is just gorgeous. It comes in several colors, but this is the black. So we're going to take this, wrap it around. Now we can put adhesive both on the ribbon and on the DSP and stick it to our card base. I love to use the Whisper White Thick and the Very Vanilla Thick for my card bases. It just has such a good feel to it. I love all of our papers from Stampin' Up, but when they came out with the thick white and vanilla, oh boy, that was a hit. All right, so I have my little banner pieces. Let me show you my card again. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that, and I'm stamping thank you. And then I'm going to let that dry for just a second because I can tell in the light that it's still kind of wet. So we want it to be completely dry before we flip it around. So now I'm going to take my snail. This is a super fast card, easy card. I love easy cards that look like you did a lot of work on them, but you didn't. No one has to know. All right, let's remove those backings. So this is basically a tips and tricks video watching me assemble the cards. You have your instructions to follow, to go by. All right, so I just noticed that my flower, because I flipped my paper, ooh, it's kind of tight there. And I didn't think about it, but that there's so much white in the background, my flower kind of gets lost. So even though I thought I was being smart, I'm not so sure. But anyway, we'll go ahead and put this on, and we're going to use dimensionals as well. So those of you who got my card kit, you might not want to do what I'm doing right now. I just thought I would change it up a bit, and that's what I get, right? So because I did that, I'm thinking I'm gonna come up more. Yeah, I'm just gonna come over the ribbon. I don't know, I like that too now. Okay, so we have some rhinestones to add to the center, and let's just do that to the center of the flowers. Now I know when I send this to you guys as a card kit, you might struggle getting these rhinestones off of these little bitty pieces like this. Usually I just grab my whole sheet, but I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and use what they got. So we'll have to figure out something in the future, I guess, because this is kind of hard. Okay, all right, so that card is done. Here is card number 2. There are 5 cards in my online classes. Here is card number 2. And even though on this card I decided to use shimmery white, for those of you who received my card kit this month, I sent you watercolor paper because I didn't like how it kind of buckled a little bit. I think it's because I did such a big wash on the back that it caused that paper to buckle. So in your card kits you received watercolor paper for this and watercolor paper for the sentiment, okay? All right, let's put this card together. So I'm gonna take my Daffodil Delight and I'm gonna open it up a little bit and I'm gonna squeeze my lid. You know, I don't recommend doing this with Brand X stamp pads. They may not do what Stampin' Ups do. So I don't want to ruin your stamp pad. We're gonna get a little piece of paper under here. All right, so I'm taking my aqua painter and I'm kind of giving it a little squeeze just to kind of dilute, make this more watery than inky. Are those correct terms? I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna give a pretty good wash on my paper. Pretty good area. There's no right or wrong way to do this, my friends. It's just giving it some background. So my concept was, it was the sun shining. And the little blue jay, little bluebird was singing. You know, we really are all artists when we're making our cards. So, all right, so I'm done with that. And now I want to bring in my pieces. See how my paper is buckling? And it will lay back down flat to dry, but it does do that. It buckles up. So I'm going to kind of do this. And I'm going to put something, I'm going to actually put a clear block on it so that it will kind of flatten out a little bit. That's just one little trick you could do. But like I said, if you were in my class, you received watercolor paper. Okay, so we have our layers. We're gonna go ahead and put those together. This is another simple card. I'm kind of a simple stamper. I do love to try new things and, you know, fun folds and things like that, but I am a pretty simple stamper. All right, so we have our layers here. We're gonna go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back of this. Get that ready. And I've already cut out my branch. And I decided I wanted my branch to come down this way. If you want your branch to come out, go for it. That's not a problem. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat because I'm going to be putting some liquid glue on the back of this. And I don't want my work surface to get yucky. So we're using the multi-purpose glue. Wrong end. And let me get my layer. Let's see how it's doing over here. It's a lot flatter, so we're doing good. So I'm just gonna squeeze. There's kind of a blob that came out. If you don't have a silicone mat in your craft room, you really need one because it just saves your grid paper, your work surface, any kind of paper you have underneath it. You just don't mess up your paper with sticky adhesive. And every time you go to make a card, something sticks to that area. This silicone mat is so easy to clean off. Like that glob, I'll just peel it off later after it dries. I don't get my fingers messy, so I'm just adding some of the glue to this lattice piece. I really do like the framelits with this bundle. They're so pretty. Let's bring this up. Now my paper is still damp, but I'm not stamping on it, so I'm not too worried. But this is my favorite part. Like, I don't want to get my fingers sticky, yucky. So I'm just going to use my silicone mat to press that down. If you happen to get glue on your fingers, let me teach you another trick if you don't already know it. In just a second, we'll go ahead and put this piece on. Because I do have some glue on my fingers. I have a friend that this is all she uses, and she said that she never gets it on her fingers, and I'm like, well, I always do. So a little tacky there. So I've got that all done. So I keep hand sanitizer on my table, and it dries really quickly, but it takes that sticky off, okay? I'm gonna cheat a little bit and just use a towel just so I can keep on going. All right, so like I said, this is still a little bit wet, but I'm gonna go ahead. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'll do it this way. Go ahead and put my snail. So you wanna make sure that this layer is completely dry. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just trying to kind of hurry up the video a little bit. You don't wanna wait for it to dry, but you wanna make sure that this is good and dry, okay? All right. Now, I can also see that I have a little bit of glue here. I will be grabbing my eraser and get that off later, but for now, we'll just keep on going. So even though I didn't really point out much, except how to use the silicone mat, you can see when I make a mistake and then how I'm going to fix it. Now, on my sample card, I kind of have my congratulations down some, but this doesn't really give me as much room, so I may even just put it up. Let's just put it up there. There we go. All right, let's grab our little bird. So we have our little bird. We're gonna add a couple of dimensionals on the back of him. And we're just gonna set him on a branch. Okay, so no two cards are the same. Don't ever compare yourself to someone else's. It is what it is. Every card is handmade. Here we are with card number 3, another fun, easy card to make. I love the Petal Passion paper, like I mentioned before. This is the Everyday Label punch. If you're in my class, you received that piece already punched out for you. And you received 2 pieces of cardstock. You received the Old Olive and the Powder Pink. And I wanted to show you that this is the framelit that you'll use. And you will cut out one set of the greens. Oh, this one is the other one. You'll use these 2 framelits. And you will cut out one of each. And then you're going to cut out the pink. You'll just cut out one. And then you're gonna trim off the leaves, okay? And then we'll put this together in just a second, but I wanted to explain that part to you. So let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment using Old Olive. Speaking of stamps, when you're using the clear blocks, try to get a block that is as close to the stamp as possible. That way you don't have a bunch of excess ink when you go to ink up your stamp. Sometimes you can't help it, but just when you can, just try to get it as close as possible. Next, I'm going to take the Melon Mambo ink and card base. And I'm just gonna stamp a couple of these. I just thought it was pretty just to have it. It's kind of a tone on tone. And then this piece is actually going to just be snailed right on. We're not going to use any dimensionals on this card. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Oh, okay, I want y'all to see. So don't do this. See how my ink wasn't dry? You see that? Don't do that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the sticky off of this, because after the video I will fix this piece so that I can use this card. So, but for now, we'll go ahead, put it on there. And like I said, I love when I make mistakes, because if I'm gonna do it, you might do it too. And nothing more frustrating than wasting a piece of cardstock. All right, so I'm just gonna take this piece, put it right against the edge. Okay. All right, now let's add our little pieces in, and we are going to get our silicone mat, because we're going to flip all these pieces over, and we're going to get our multi-purpose glue. Pick this up, and we are going to take this piece. Let me move this out of the way. We're going to take this piece, and we're actually going to put it. Nope, I have it this way. I'm like, something's not right. All right, so we're going to put it like this. So because we don't want green flowers, that's why we cut out another piece with the powder pink, and we cut the leaves off. And then I'm actually going to grab a pair of tweezers, because I need to be able to line this up, kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, I actually matched it up pretty good. I can see some glue in there. So I'm just going to do this. Sometimes I wish they made this thing big, because I could use every bit of it. All right, so I still see some glue in there, so I'm going to go ahead with my finger and try to get that out. So just use a tiny bit of glue, okay? All right, so now let's do this piece. At first, I was going to cut the leaves off of this, and I decided it was just easier to cut the leaves off of the pink, or cut the leaves off and then just get rid of the flowers. But I figured out it was easier just to do it the other way. Okay, now we have one flower. And there's a great set of pictures in my tutorial for you to do this at home. So sometimes you kind of have to turn it to line up the flower. Let's see, this looks like it. Okay, that card is done, except for me fixing my label. All right, one more coming. Here is card number 4, and a great wedding card. You know, you could even put the bird on here, the 2 birds, like little love birds kind of thing. But I wanted to keep this one simple. So we're gonna go ahead and do our stamping. And we're gonna stamp Best Wishes. Grab a piece of paper, because I'm going to kind of do this, the dots stamping. And let me show you. It doesn't quite fit all the way, so I'm kind of off stamping on one end. And then I'm going to turn this around and stamp the other side. Next, I'm going to stamp my bigger flower stamp. Ink that up really good. On these bigger stamps, I really like to turn it upside down and make sure. Now keep in mind, this stamp set is more of a watercolored look, meaning it's not solid. So like, I don't know if you can see there on the video, you know, there's just some spots on it. So there's nothing wrong with the stamp. It's just how it's made. And then next I'm going to take this set of flowers. And now this one. Okay, so we're done with our stamping. We have a piece of silver foil and a piece of this beautiful white ribbon that's also silver edged, because I just thought wedding, you know, that kind of thing. I'm really talking to let this ink dry because I know that it will muddy if I don't. And I'm just going to kind of test it. That's still wet, but we're going to work on this piece right here. So basically, I'm just going to color the leaves and the roses. Okay, so on that last leaf, that was supposed to have been a leaf, and I colored it the Melon Mambo. So I went back over it, and it still kind of looks pinky green. So that is a leaf right there, but I tried to fix it. Okay, so let's get our snail. And I just want a little bit of the dots peeking out. Okay, so now we're going to flip it over. We're going to put a little bit of snail right here to hold our ribbon. We want it centered in the middle. Okay. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put some glue, just some more snail just to kind of hold that down. And I'm going to grab my dimensionals. And I'm actually going to pop up this layer on my Whisper White Thick card base. And notice how I'm catching those pieces of ribbon because I don't want them to come off. And it's just another way of securing it. So I will take the backs off. And we're going to place it on the card base. My husband just opened the door in case you wondered what that was. He forgot I told him I was making videos. All right, so that card is done. Okay, here is card number 5 out of this class. And it's a beautiful card with lots of copper. I love copper. I wanted to make another wedding card. I'm trying to use up all the stamps in the set when I can for my classes, as well as the framelits. So let's get started. And actually, before we get started, I wanted to share with you the copper paper has a plastic coating on it. And when you're cutting out these delicate little framelits, especially that one, it's really hard to cut through that plastic. So take a paper piercer, and I've already kind of lifted up the corner, and remove some of that backing. It's not going to hurt it, okay? And it will make your life a lot easier when you run it through your big shot. And I'm just taking that backing off. And I know you can't see it on the video, but when I pull this off, it's like wax paper, okay? So that piece is just really hard to cut through. So, little tip for you. Another tip for you is only use as big of a piece of the copper that you're going to be cutting out. Like if I was only cutting that much out, I would have cut this piece off, because this paper, because it is thicker than maybe the silver and the gold, it will show any indentions from your cutting plates. So another little tip for you on that copper paper. All right, let's put this card together. So I've cut out the Very Vanilla using the stitched framelits, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment with Versamark very carefully because it whoops, we picked up a few, those things are just all over the place. So I'm trying really hard to get this even. I've got the camera in my way, but hopefully I did it. One thing I forgot to do, you should always use your embossing buddy before you emboss. Oh boy. And that little buddy is this little thing, okay? So I should have wiped that over my Very Vanilla and then did my stamping. So now let's get my copper embossing powder. Let's see if we can pick this up. Give it a little flick, flick, flick on the back. Hey, I did pretty good. Whoops. All right, we're going to use my tweezers. If you don't have any craft tweezers, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell them, but I had these for years, and they just really come in handy for picking up things. And for holding this when I'm heating it up. Oops, I see a little flick. That wouldn't have been there if I had rubbed my embossing buddy over. Okay. So now we're going to make sure that's good and cool, because if this is not good and cool and I go to flip it over to put the snail on the back, it kind of discolors the embossing because it kind of mashes it or something. All right, we're good and cool now. So we're going to put quite a bit of snail on there. Boy, there's another dimensional. What is the deal? Whew, they are just multiplying. They're like rabbits. All right, so we're going to mount this on our copper. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our layer. Now, if you got my card kit, you got 2 pieces of Very Vanilla. One was slightly larger, and that is to cut out, I gave you way too much, but that is to cut out the little flowers that are peeking out from behind here. So I'm going to take, oops, where is my silicone mat again? Let's see if I'm still in the, so we're going to add some glue to the back of this. And we're going to add this piece going down like this. Mashing it really good with my silicone mat. Okay, so we have that piece done. Now, this big piece that I cut out, I'm just going to snip it apart. Let's see. I think I came in at this joint. And I just wanted to use a lot of copper. Can you tell? And this piece. And then we're going to cut this piece. Let's see. Yep, I did leave that together. And then on this piece, we kind of have a long stem hanging off of there. So we're going to just trim that up. I know this is really hard on the video for you to see what I'm doing. You can trim it up however you want. All right, so now we have lots of little pieces to put glue on the back of. Let's bring this back in. Whoops, that's coming up a little bit. We'll bring this back in. All right, so I think you can see everything now on the video. And we're going to add our glue. All right, now we're ready to add our pieces to the bottom of the card, and you can pretty much do them however you want. this up. See, I don't know how my friend doesn't get glue everywhere. I always do. All right, so we're going to take this piece, and actually I'm going to do it this way, having it come up from the bottom. And I can tell that I got a lot of glue on that one leaf. So I'm just going to wipe it off on my piece. Let's see. And then we have our big one. You know, the way you cut yours apart, you may not have room for all of them, but I am pretty much doing it. Let's get this one on. And then we're going to grab our silicone mat. Okay, hang on. I got glue everywhere. I think I need a lesson in the multi-purpose glue on these fine pieces. All right. Okay, so I have one little piece hanging off, so I'm just going to snip that off. And we have that done. So now we're going to take this layer and we're going to put some snail on the back. And I'm going to put quite a bit because I'm not quite sure where these flowers are going to line up. So I have one peeking up out of the top. And I didn't get any, oh, I know why. This is the copper. The copper is really hard to get things to get the adhesive to stick to it. I thought I was just putting adhesive everywhere. So we're going to put a little bit of glue on that corner because we know that's where we're going. Oh yeah, let's just make more mess with the multi-purpose glue. And then this one is going to peek out the side like this. And then we're going to grab our dimensionals. And my glue is not quite dry, so it is a little slippery, but it will dry perfectly when I put it on the card. All right, before I do that, I'm going to add this layer to my card base with dimensionals. And then the last thing we're going to do, whoops, is add our sentiment layer right there. And that card is done. Thanks for watching this class, guys. I appreciate ya. Did you just love those cards? I thought they were fun. Easy to make. I don't know. That one with the multi-purpose glue, I did struggle with that one, but it is what it is. So hopefully I gave you some tips and tricks that you could use on other cards. If you would like to get the tutorial for these cards, you can visit my blog at www.txstampin.com, and you can look through, click on the online classes, do the drop down, and there are tutorials for sale. Happy stamping, y'all!